Welcome back to Sailing El Haleo. Today is October 29th, 2022, and we are 6 days into our journey to Florida. We are currently anchored in Deep Creek, just north of Annapolis, Maryland, and I begin this video with a pretty long sit rep, so let's go ahead and get right to it. So grab a drink, climb aboard, and let's get going. Good morning, y'all. Today is day 3 of our journey south, and we have awoken to a bunch of dense fog. We are currently anchored in Sassafras River, which is in northern Chesapeake Bay, and we're about 10 miles, I guess it would be east or south, maybe southeast of the C&D Canal. And the first 2 days I didn't do any filming. My brother came with on the first day. We went through the C&D Canal and anchored in Bohemia River. We stayed there because he could not be gone for more than a day. So the next morning I took him over to a marina and my mom came and picked him up. And then we continued on our way down to Sassafras River. It was only a 10-mile trip, but it was rainy and drizzly the first 2 days, so it was kind of miserable. So we didn't film anything, but here we are on day 3. And the boat is loaded to the gills, and it is currently a mess. So I've got a lot of cleaning to do this morning until this fog burns off. Hopefully, if the fog improves, we can make our way down to Magothé River. It is about a 30-mile trip, which will probably take around 7 hours. So if this fog is gone by, say, 10-ish a.m., then we'll be okay. Otherwise, we'll probably end up staying here for the day. So, not that that's a horrible thing, because we've got a lot of work to do. We are fully loaded. We've got just tons and tons of supplies, and we've got probably a year's worth of food for me and the dogs. 20 gallons of diesel for heating, 60 gallons of diesel for the engine, 24 gallons of water for showering, 70 gallons of water for dishes and washing hands, and then another 40 gallons of water for drinking. So inside the boat is an absolute mess. Every cubby hole is completely full, and there's stuff in the aisles. So I'm not going to show you the inside of the boat until we get some of that consumed. It is really kind of a mess down there, but we shouldn't have to make many stops on the way between here and Florida. Maybe once. Well, I mean, we will a few times just to get diesel, which unfortunately has gone through the roof again. Real time today is Tuesday. That's the best I can do. It's Tuesday. I think it's towards the end of October. I don't exactly know what number day it is. Yeah, so I'm going to take this opportunity to do some cleaning. The deck is kind of a mess. The dogs have adjusted to life on the boat again. I've got some ropes out here yet that I need to stow, but they're wet, so I've been I don't want to put them away while they're wet, so I've kind of been hoping they would dry, but they have not been. We've not had an opportunity to get them dry, to stow them yet, but the puppy dogs are doing good. Yes, they are. Good puppy dogs. Hanwi is adjusted 100%. Yes, she might even be doing better than tuna fish. Yes, she might be doing better. Yes. Oh, and Squibbin. Yeah, Squibbins is doing good. So, yep, the kids are doing good. I'm doing good. Spirits are high. We'll take this unexpected break here to do some cleaning, and hopefully, if this is gone by 10, we can get on the way to Magothé. Right now, the weather forecast coming in this weekend is the wind is projected to go up to levels where I wouldn't want to be in Chesapeake Bay. So I'm hoping, if everything goes well, I can get down to Solomons, Maryland by Friday. And a lot of that is contingent on me making it to Magothé today. So we'll see. We're not going to do anything stupid. You know, I do have AIS now, which is awesome because big ships know exactly where I am, even in this dense fog. But still, there are a lot of small boats that don't have AIS. So in this kind of visibility, I'd probably have a lot of room to avoid hitting a smaller boat, but still, you know, it's just not worth taking the risk. And AIS does let boats know that I am here. I am anchored in Sassafras River, and no big boats would come up here. The main channel is over that way, probably 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles. So we're well out of the way, but it's just nice to know that people know that we're here. So that is awesome. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a sit rep on the first few days of the trip, and I'm going to start cleaning, and I hope y'all are well, and we'll see you soon.
We don't need a destination, let's go where the river's taking us. Over fields and through the country, letting go of everything but us. Over the rainbow. If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night, hundreds of miles away. The water is warm, let's dip our toes right in and be reborn. I don't know why we wait. Grab sunglasses and the atlas, we can prove we're smarter than a phone. Let's go where there's no reception, see if we can make it on our own. Breathe deep in your chest. If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night, hundreds of miles away. The water is warm, let's dip our toes right in and be reborn. I don't know why. Let's go where the river's taking us. Over fields and through the country, letting go of everything but us. If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night, hundreds of miles away. The water is warm, let's dip our toes right in and be reborn. I don't know why we wait.
Hey y'all, we are still in Deep Creek. We've been here for a few days now due to bad weather, and the bad weather is continuing. Over there is Magothe River. We're just north of Annapolis, Maryland. I don't know if you guys can see the whitecaps out there on the river or not, but and whitecaps on the river are no big deal, but the wind out in the bay is running at 15 to 20 knots, and the wind is shifting around, so the waves are projected to be around 2 feet and coming at a period of 2.8 seconds. So they'd be rolling up from behind us off axis, and that really throws you around a lot, and it's just kind of uncomfortable, and the dogs really don't like it. And you know, it's still hurricane season, so we've got time to get south. I'm not 100% anxious to get out to the coast yet, so if we make it to Belhaven, back to Belhaven, which is still protected inland, even if it takes us 3 weeks to get there, I'm 100% okay with that, just because it's you know, I'd rather be inland if something kicks up. And it's beautiful here. The trees have started to change color, so it's awesome. And today's our first sunny day since we left on Sunday, so we're kind of enjoying that. Getting a little power into our battery bank, which is nice. But yeah, the wind is shifting, and we're actually going to end up being about 180 degrees off of where I set the anchor. So this is a pretty small bay right here where I am anchored, and it's pretty protected. And there's no way my anchor should drag, but if it does get dislodged because we're 180 degrees off of the way it was set. I'll have to keep an eye on it just to make sure we don't run into someone's dock over here. That would be bad. So that's always something, but it's a beautiful day out here today. Yeah, I'm guessing it's must be 60, low 60s probably. The wind makes it a little chilly, but you know, we're pretty protected here, and yeah, it's a nice area. I feel bad staying here for so many days. We'll probably be here through Sunday, just because the wind's gonna be, there's a big cold front offshore, and the wind's gonna be bad for the next few days. So we're gonna be here, and I feel bad staying for so long in one place, just because I get a little, you know, because you want to move, but also I don't want to piss anyone off here. This is a pretty nice neighborhood, and I don't know, I feel like I'm imposing, but people anchor here all the time, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But yeah, alrighty, I hope you guys are all well, and I will catch up with you laters. Hey y'all, today is Saturday. It's towards the end of October, and we're just at our last day in Deep Creek here before the wind drops off so we can get moving again. And I am working on the alternator regulator to see if I can get that working well with our solar charge controller in the back. So I've got this literature here. Sorry about the mess in here. It's always a mess when I'm working on projects. And there's very little literature on this, but I think I may understand what's going on. So here is a line tying everything back to the lithium iron phosphate system, and here are two red lines. One is to start the engine and one is from the alternator. It doesn't really matter at this point which is which. And I'm going to test the voltage here, and it should be 13.1 volts, which is what our battery monitor is telling us. And it is 13.1. Okay, so that is good. And I think what's going on, hey Weegs, yeah, are you helping Weegan? Yes, she's a very good helper, very good helper. Okay, let me grab a light. So up here is our alternator regulator, and I believe this may have been, this has an upper range of 14.4 volts, and that's exactly where we want it for absorption. So I think perhaps maybe this got turned down a little bit for the lead acid batteries that it was running before. That's just a guess. So I'm going to go ahead and start the engine, and there's little, I don't know if you guys can see the front of this, but there are little set screws here where I can adjust the voltage. So I'm going to turn around and retest the voltage over there, and it should, I'm guessing it'll still read 13.1. If this is engaged, I'm thinking this is just set too low, so it's reading basically that the batteries are full, and that's why it's kicking off. That's just a guess. So we'll test it out, and if I turn this up to, if I can get this back up to 14.4 volts, then it should recognize that the batteries aren't full and stay engaged. So I'm not 100% sure how all this works. I guess you have to send a field from here around the coil or something in the alternator. And then it engages. That's above my pay grade. I don't understand that stuff. But let's see how this, if adjusting this actually helps. So I went ahead and started the engine, and I've muted this part of the video just because it's so loud when the engine is running. And speaking of loud, I hope you can't hear the diesel heater running, but if you can, it's probably just a low hum, so apologies for that. I went ahead and removed the cover from the alternator regulator so I could get at it. And you do need to remove the red field wire before you make any adjustments. And there are two indicator lights on there, a green and a red, for the status, if it's in error or not.
and I kept getting an error, and you can't adjust the voltage when it's in error. So I decided to investigate the wiring a little bit further.
Well, I kept getting an error as I was trying to adjust that. So I thought I'd better check the wiring on the alternator here. And these are the 4 wires that go over there. And this here, I don't know how close I can focus in on this. Last time I tried to get it up close, it was pretty blurry, but this here is very, very loose. I'm going to see if there's a lock washer on there. If not, I think I've got one that'll fit that. Okay, I found a little lock washer. Wouldn't you know it, in a bag of stuff that I never used, never opened. So hey, don't throw anything away. You never know when you might need it. And it was the perfect size for that. So that is snug, and all of our other connections here are snug. So I'm going to go ahead and start her back up, and let's see what is going on now.
After starting the engine and determining that the field was stable and the alternator regulator was working, I went ahead and adjusted the voltage up. I did originally record audio with this section of the video, but there was some resonance with the engine running and the video just sounded awful, so I decided to re-record it. So after making the adjustment, I noticed that the voltage on the house panel went up from 13.1 to 13.2. So I knew there was some change that had happened, and the regulator was engaged, the alternator was engaged, and I measured the voltage at the switch, and it had gone up to 13.5 volts. I decided not to make any further adjustments at this point. The alternator was putting out 13.5 volts, and that's good enough to charge the battery bank up to around 98-99%. And it doesn't go above that. The batteries top out at 14.4 volts, and that's when they're 100% charged. So the solar can get them the last couple of percent. I'm just looking for a little boost during this time of year when the sun is not very high in the sky, or when we have, you know, a couple of weeks of crappy weather. So 13.5 is good, and also I didn't want to adjust it, just make willy-nilly changes without testing it first. And I can't really run the engine for very long when it's not under a full load. It's bad for the engine. So I wanted to make a run. Tomorrow I'll be making a run down to Herring Bay, and I want to give it a good test before I can make any further adjustments. Just as one final check, I did open up the Victron app just to make sure that the alternator was putting power back into the battery bank. And as you can see here, it's putting in around 30-ish amps, and this is just under idle speed, and that's a combined amperage between the solar and the alternator. When we're under motoring conditions at around 2000, 1800 to 2000 RPMs, we can actually combine put in between 75 and 100 plus amps at a time. So it's a pretty powerful combination between the two. And there you have it. I would like to apologize for the length of this video. It is a little disturbing that for a week where nothing really happened, I made a 20-minute video. So I apologize for that. I know no one wants to sit through a 20-minute video. Probably no one made it here, and that's perfectly fine. I'll try and make them a little bit shorter in the future, so I apologize for that. I would like to give a massive shout out to our Patreon crew, which is Joan and Juddy Judnick, Val and Chris Alcorn, Denise and Eli Sackett, Joan and Jim Linbow, Sherry Erickson, and Deb Shaw. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your support. It means the world to me. Thank you so very much. If you are interested in joining our Patreon crew, there is a link in the description down below. That'll get you to our Patreon page, where there are tons of bonus videos, photos, stuff like that. I try and post a little something every day as we travel so you can stay up to date with where we are and what we're doing. And if you do like our videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us out a ton as well. Alrighty, we'll see you all next week. Hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.